parts of this presentation. Geoengineering, called climate remediation, that's the same thing. Climate remediation does not mean that someone's going to do something about your climate and stop droughts and stop floods or do something drastic. Climate remediation means solar radiation management. It means that we're going to put up particles and chemicals like sulfur or aluminum oxide, which are supposedly going up to reduce the amount of direct sunlight reaching the Earth. I'm going to talk about the implications for several things as I go through the presentation, but I want you to know that these words are real, that the words that you're going to hear from me are a way to manipulate us into not knowing what the word means and therefore not being able to empower ourselves and take action. So as I go through this presentation, I want all of you to think about what actions you can take. And I'd like you can't probably, I don't know if you can read it, but it says, how do you like your skies, your weather, natural or man-made? And some of them you can look up and see. The photograph here shows a sky picture that was taken over Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's got man-made clouds in it. It's got persistent jet contrails. It's got white haze in it. And that's what our skies are going to look like all the time. If some of these activities that are ongoing are allowed to continue, we will have days in which we don't see direct sunlight at all reaching the Earth and benefiting us. And we're seeing this now in many cases. You're seeing the clouds that you see are not real. They are man-made. And the jets, according to everything we know, the jets produce these types of clouds, and these types of clouds, NASA, the U.S. government, many agencies, Stanford University studies, all talk about as being man-made clouds. In other words, they're not formed by real weather fronts coming in and in other words, the real climate cycle. So they're man-made. So some of what you're going to see in the skies from now on are man-made, and you will be able to identify and talk about them. Geoengineering, the U.S. House of Commons, UK Parliament report on geoengineering defines the term geoengineering to describe activities specifically and deliberately designed to affect a change in the global climate with the aim of minimizing or reversing man-made climate change. This was their report on March 10th, and this is in 2010. This was last year. The U.S. House of Representatives Science and Technology Committee met and held hearings in 2009 and in 2010 on geoengineering. It was not broadcast on C-SPAN. It was not broadcast by the media. The media didn't cover this issue, but I certainly was aware of it and started to talk about geoengineering. Right now, the U.S. House of Representatives and the UK Parliament are working together. They signed an agreement. The agreement is online, and you can read it. All of these documents are on my website, agreeing that they were going to go forward and work on global geoengineering governance. What I want to say about global geoengineering governance is that they're talking about doing experiments, putting chemicals, particles, ocean iron fertilization, many schemes in order to reduce the amount of direct sunlight reaching the Earth, or to create, in ocean iron fertilization, fake algae blooms, which is harmful. They know it's harmful to the oceans, but what they want to do is they say, well, it's going to reduce the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This is absolutely nuts. The impact on the oceans already has been some concern from the international standpoint. Right now, I can modify your weather. I can hire a company. I can modify your weather. I can initiate a weather modification program over your city, over your county, over your state. The company I hire will enhance the snow, enhance the rain, dissipate the clouds. I can put you in a drought because we have the technology, and it's been with us since the 1940s. The United States has been openly modifying and mitigating the weather since the 1940s. They've had hurricane experiments. The documentation is all online. There's many histories of weather modification. So what happens is that we have a military that's modifying the weather. The jets, according to NASA studies, according to NOAA, according to Stanford University, when they produce the man-made clouds, they modify your weather. They change it. And so what happens is you may get rain, you may not get rain. They can cloud up your skies, but there's no weather front that came in. A lot of times when your meteorologist in your weather report says, well, there's going to be cloudy skies and there's going to be rain 3 days from now, we know that the jets are going to come over and cover our skies in man-made clouds. They can even see them, and they can produce rainfall out of them, or not, depending. So this is what's going on. The Earth's atmosphere is being used as a physics laboratory for experiments, multiple experiments without our consent, without our knowledge. Even some of your elected officials don't even know. So some of the information that I'm giving you, they don't know anything about because there's no lobbyist educating them on this topic except to educate them to promote and do more of this type of technology.
Peterson is an environmental impact analyst and founder of California SkyWatch. Today, Rosalind is a leader in the fight to expose the true nature of the chemicals being sprayed in our skies. She has compiled extensive data documenting the ongoing geoengineering and weather modification programs contaminating our skies, water, and food supply.
My name is Rosalind Peterson, and I was born and raised in Mendocino County in California. I was on a working farm in Mendocino County and grew up on a working farm. So I have a background in agriculture. I could drive a cat tractor. I could do the irrigation systems. I decided to take environmental studies and planning course at Sonoma State University, where I got my degrees. After some training, I became an agriculture crop loss adjuster, which meant that if there were any crops that failed in California for any reason, crop loss adjusters were sent by the state of California.
Aircraft making a condensation trail is very similar in many ways to when you go outside on a cold day and exhale, you create a condensation trail. That little cloud is a condensation trail. Now, if you take a 2-mile walk on a cold day and you can turn around and you can see your condensation trail tracking all the way back for 2 miles. That's how crazy it is to think that what we're looking in the sky is actually condensation trails.
The contrails, not the chemical, the contrails occur because of cold air, minus 30. It takes high altitude, around 30,000 feet plus. There's carbon dioxide and water vapor in that exhaust. That turns to ice crystals, and that's what you see, the white stream behind it. Those white crystals of ice warm up, dissolve, and the smoke goes away. And it never lasts more than a minute. What we're seeing now, and I first could not believe it, and I started looking at the skies, and these are not normal. They're not natural. There's something going on. I don't know who it is or why they're doing it. All I can testify is it's not natural and it's not normal.
Constant respiratory problems that are now epidemic. Is there any connection
Perhaps the
between
greatest
this
lie
and
ever
the growing
perpetrated on populations all over the
epidemic
world
rates of
is the condensation
other
trail
human
lie.
diseases
What we're
that
seeing
are
in our
proven to be
skies
connected
is
to
not
highly
condensation.
toxic
It's
heavy
sprayed
metal
particulate
exposure?
dispersions with very few
Lab
exceptions.
tests from around the globe
They shouldn't
have
be
long
there.
since
Jet
proven
engines
a
burn
mountain
clean.
of heavy metals
So
like
if
aluminum,
there's anything
barium,
coming out of them, it's an
strontium are
additive.
raining down on
Saying
all
to
of
people,
us.
you know, what is
These
this?
metals are
Because
the
now the
primary
sky
elements named in
is
climate
no longer
engineering
blue,
patents.
it's starting to turn gray.
Yes,
and what I found was
this
kind
is
of like, it was
connected to
not
the
socially
dirty,
acceptable.
dingy,
You know, we're all
often
going to pretend
checkerboard
this is
striped
not really
toxic
happening.
mess that
And
we
I thought,
see in
oh,
our
this is very
skies
bad.
day in and day out.
Most are unfamiliar with the science
If you don't
term
believe it,
called
doesn't
global
matter. You're
dimming.
still breathing this contamination with every breath.
That term refers to the
It's
amount of
building up in
direct
your
sunlight
body.
that no longer reaches the
Several dozen
surface of
lab
the
tests
planet
from
due to
Shasta
light
and
scattering
Siskiyou
particles
counties
that are
alone,
building up in
about
the
70,
atmosphere.
I believe.
And although many of these particles
Prove
are from
this
industrialized
beyond any shadow of a
pollution,
doubt.
the larger
Why aren't we
majority
being
are
told?
from the ongoing
Why don't
climate engineering,
meteorologists
solar
and
radiation
institutions like the Weather
management
Channel
operations.
say a word about climate engineering? Because they're owned by corporations like Blackstone and Bain Capital.
This engine, a high bypass turbofan jet engine, this is the engine that is on all military tankers and all commercial carriers, is in essence a jet-powered fan. 90% of the air that moves through this engine is non-combustion. This engine, by design, is nearly incapable of producing any condensation trail except under rare and extreme circumstances. And again, when we have film footage of aircraft flying at altitude with nozzles visible,
because he died last month.
turning on and
Fox
off.
News said was, quote,
That is the end of the argument.
suicide. His car was
Since
crashed
even
to an
before
Atlanta
man could
parking
fly,
garage and plowed into
there was an
an
effort to
adjacent
try to
hotel.
modify the weather.
That's a strange way
We
to
have
commit suicide.
weather modification patents going
But
back
perhaps
100
let's
years
ask the
plus.
meteorologists at the National Weather Service or the National Oceanic and
These
Atmospheric
are historical
Administration. But
films
no, again,
of what can be done
because
with a
virtually
biplane,
all the National Weather
a
Service
small biplane
and
that carries a
NOAA
very
government
small
employees
payload.
are still under a
And that
federal
much can be
gag
done.
order.
How much more
Don't believe me,
can a fully
please.
loaded military
Investigate
tanker,
it for
KC-10,
yourself.
KC-135,
If you're willing
C-17
to look
Roadmaster,
at the truth,
how much more
if you
material can
want to
they
see
put in the air?
meteorologists
About
going to
500 times
unimaginable
more
lengths
than a
of
single
line
tanker.
to try and explain away
How many have
the
been told that
completely
the B-17
unprecedented
bombers
and
of World War
completely
II Indian
engineered
trails as
weather
proof this is
scenarios
just
that are
condensation?
now the norm.
That's a spray
Watch the
dispersion
Weather Channel
that you
for a while.
cannot shut off
Connect the
condensation
dots.
like that. That
Watch
is
the
not
behavior of the Weather Channel
condensation.
actors as they give truly an ever more complex
Weather was
and
a weapon
implausible
used
fabricated explanation
over
for
Vietnam.
weather scenarios that are
Would you
historically
expect that to be
unprecedented,
then deleted
meteorologically
from the
impossible
availability?
without
No.
the climate engineering
To continue
factor. Again, we have
to
engineered
expand
snowstorms happening in the
the
west,
scientific
with the
aspects
center
of it,
those storms,
to
like
have it
what I mentioned last
available in
week,
your
Winter Storm
portfolio
Kayla,
of weapons
the
would
center
be
of
a
the low pressure
natural
of a cold winter
process.
storm pushing 80
Therefore,
degrees
should you
with
expect that it
tornadoes.
is available
On the quote warm side of the storm,
on demand
where is our
to
sense
have
of
the
reason?
ability
This
to
is not
modify
normal.
weather?
We have
Absolutely.
massive temperature
Within this
whiplash
country
fluctuations
and
from,
others.
50, 60 degrees in a
Climate
single
engineering
day.
is the crown
This is
jewel of the
extremely
military-industrial
devastating to
complex.
the biosphere.
Climate engineering has been
And this
used
can't
to
happen
destabilize and
naturally.
topple
It's from
nations
chemical ice
all over the
nucleation
globe,
related to weather
facilitating
modification. Please
military
look it up.
occupations
Look up
by
every term I
hostile
state.
countries
You'll
like
find
the U.S.
lots of data if you choose to
We
look.
know that some
As
of
the
these
public
countries are
wakes
having
up
their
to the climate
precipitation cut off
engineering
because they have stated so on the floor of the
nightmare, the
UN,
crimes
like the
of climate
president of
engineering.
Iran stating emphatically
I
that
believe
NATO weather
they'll hold
modification
accountable
programs were
as
cutting off the
accomplices
precipitation to
all
Iran,
those
but
who
U.S. media
lied
never covered it.
to hide the
We
geoengineering
have
insanity.
an economic model
Perhaps
operating globally, which is operating
Trials
based on
like those
covert
held
force.
in Nuremberg are
And I
coming,
have
one would
very
hope.
serious questions after watching the
If you still
financial
refuse to
patterns
believe weather
as
warfare
to
is
whether
going on
that
over your
financial
head
force or that
every single
force
day,
includes weather
stand
warfare.
by. As I
People
said
were coming
before,
to
you'll believe
me
it
telling
soon
me
enough.
about this. So because of that, I went to the government in Ottawa under Freedom of Information. There was a 40-page report, of which half the pages were completely blank, and the other half had a lot of blank outs.